Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Koki of the Seahawk Recap Show, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to go through the 2025-2026 season review for the Seahawks, as I do every year at the end of the NFL season. So strap yourselves in because this might be a longer video than usual. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like. It lets me know if I'm doing a good job with these videos or not. And if you would like to, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more Seahawks future content. That would be greatly appreciated. And I wanted to start off here with reading you this stat. Mike Macdonald is the first head coach to win a Super Bowl as the primary defensive play caller for his team. What an accomplishment for Mike Macdonald in his second year as Seahawks head coach. The Seahawks 2025-2026 season summary. So let's get to the top performers on offense first. Passing was obviously led by Sam Darnold. He played his 17 games, had a completion percentage of 67.7%, had 4,048 total yards, 238.1 yards per game, 25 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, got sacked 27 times, had 11 fumbles and 6 fumbles lost on the season. And honestly, Sam Darnold, his stats don't look amazing, right? The 25 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, the 27 times sacked is not a great looking stat, but man, he did phenomenal this season. He is one of the main reasons why we made it to the Super Bowl and won Super Bowl 60 this year. Having him on this team combined with Clint Kubiak, he goes back to back 14-3 seasons. Vikings and now the Seahawks. Everybody from the national media was saying, "Oh, Sam Darnold's a downgrade from Geno Smith. He's not a great quarterback for this Seahawks team. I would be scared because they give him a 3-year contract worth $100 million." Sam Darnold shut that up real quick as he puts up these stats. Thank like Thankfully he just shut them up. He shut everybody. He shut all the doubters up about him. Man, there's a reason why he was picked in 2018, third overall to the Jets. He always had the talent. My biggest thing with Sam Darnold over the past 2 years now is that we didn't really know when he came off that historic run with the Vikings that if he was going to be any good. But it came down to coaching. This is why top prospects can have oodles and oodles of talent, but if they don't have the correct system in place to fit their skill set, they won't succeed. He comes to Seattle. Everybody's wondering, like, oh, he's got a payday off of his one good year he's had in the NFL. He comes to Seattle, gets in the Clint Kubiak style of offense where he's able to get under center, not be the number one guy in terms of production for this offense because that's the run game. And he's able to just do bootleg passes, which he is very, very good at, by the way. And he's able to chuck deep bombs down to JSN and all those kind of things. And you look at his stats, it shows, man, like a 67.7% completion percentage. It actually very good. 4,000 yards. That's a really good number. 238.1 yards per game. That is also very good over a 17 game stretch in the NFL. And you look at like his interceptions. Yeah, his interceptions needed to be cleaned up. He did have a lot more turnovers than I would have liked, but he still got the job done. That's why I called him a game manager quarterback. I think Sam Darnold isn't a elite franchise QB like a Joe Burrow or a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen. What Sam Darnold is a product of is good system play. If he's in a proper system where he's able to be protected and have a very, very good wide receiver on his team, he's able to not be the number one guy and the focal point of an offense. He's able to put up really, really good numbers. I think he is a solid starting QB that could game manage games for you. And that led him to his first Super Bowl and the first Super Bowl out of the 2018 draft class. There's a reason why Sam Darnold got $100 million for 3 years here in Seattle. And it's due to Mike Macdonald and John Schneider going, okay, we need a quarterback that can be reliable and that we can believe in. Here's a guy that we could bring in to game manage our offense for us, and we'll give him the running game to help supplement some of his flaws. And that's exactly how he won the Super Bowl. A great season from Sam Darnold overall. Let's get to the rushing leader, Kenneth Walker. 17 games played, 221 carries, 1,027 yards, averaged 60.4 yards per game, averaged 4.6 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP, gets his first Super Bowl, and he's coming into a contract year. My biggest thing at the beginning of this season, I do this every year before the season even starts, is I make my season predictions. And I chose Kenneth Walker to be my breakout player and my hot seat player. Someone that I thought could have a really, really good season under Clint Kubiak, or we would see if he didn't have a good season, we would probably need to move on. This was a make or break year for him, not only because he was in a contract year, but also it would show us who Kenneth Walker really is. Throughout his entire career with the Seattle Seahawks for his 4 years in the league, he had his first rookie season and he put up 1,000 yards. He did exceptional. He showed that kind of speed, that kind of elusiveness, that kind of breakaway, explosive run talent that we always knew was in there. Then he goes on for the next 2 seasons, doesn't have great production, doesn't have that kind of moxie that he did in his first year. And then he comes into a contract year and he plays all 17 games, which he hasn't done ever before in his NFL career. He stays healthy, comes in and puts up the same exact numbers almost that he did in his rookie season and puts in a great performance in the Super Bowl, winning Super Bowl MVP. He puts a great playoff performance together, which then elevates him into a position where he's succeeding in a run first, run heavy offense with Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. I think he had a very, very good season. I'm so happy for him. I am so proud of him because we as Seahawks fans knew after his rookie season, sky's the limit for this guy. This guy could be very great. For the last 2 seasons, he hasn't been playing great because he has gotten a little banged up. He started to become a little bit of injury prone, missing, 2 games here, 2 games here, and going, is he going to stay on the field and how much is production going to be affected? And he finally gets an OC that can use him properly, and he puts back an 1,000-yard season in return. So great season from Kenneth Walker overall. I love what he has done this year, and hopefully we can get him under contract because I know Seahawks fans, myself included, would want him back desperately for that running back tandem of Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. Let's get to the receiving top performer, Jackson Smith-Njigba. 17 games, 119 receptions, 1,793 yards, averaged 105.5 yards per game, 15.1 yards per reception, 10 touchdowns, winning Offensive Player of the Year, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Holy crap, man, did he explode this year. Man, last year he exploded. Last year he put up exceptional numbers from the slot receiver position in the Ryan Grubb offense. Coming in, you have no DK Metcalf, you have no Tyler Lockett. He becomes the number 1 wide receiver and goes into that role. comes on the outside and just cooks everybody alive this season, putting up 119 receptions for Sam Darnold, being basically the Justin Jefferson that Sam Darnold did have in Minnesota. He's got the new Justin Jefferson basically in JSN when he comes to Seattle. Still a number one wide, going from one number one wide receiver that's crazy to another. And Jackson Smith-Njigba, man, he just hit another year in his third year here in the league, man. Like another year entirely. This guy, I don't even know what to say because the amount of body control this man has, the amount of explosive talent to line up anywhere on the field and always be a threat is something that's very, very impressive for a guy that doesn't have the elite, oh, I'm 6'4" and I run like a bat out of hell. No, he's 6'1" and he can still run like a bat out of hell, and he can still go up and make catches. He's not afraid to go up and make catches against any DBs in this league. And he just set the world on fire this year. Great year from Jackson Smith-Njigba. Love to see it from him. Let's get to the top performers on defense. And the man that led the team in tackles, Ernest Jones, 15 games played, 60 solo tackles, 66 assisted tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 126 total, half a sack. And Ernest Jones, man, what a trade. I said this last year, and I said this throughout the season. What a trade Ernest Jones has been for the Seahawks from last year up until now. He has been the green dot for this team. He leads the team in tackles. He's just been amazing this year. I can't tell you how much of a leader he has been, because one of the things I really love about Ernest Jones is that not only is his production on the field insane, but in the locker room, you can tell that this guy is a true leader in that room. And at the middle linebacker position, you love to see guys come into a room and build a culture, have a culture in that room of togetherness, brotherly love on your team. You know, when everybody was clowning on Sam Darnold and him being signed and, you know, how Sam Darnold was performing, Ernest Jones stood up to the mic and said, and I'm going to paraphrase here, anyone who says anything about my quarterback, you can go screw yourself. And that's a true leader right there. That's a guy that doesn't take anybody's smoke. He just goes, we know who we got in our locker room. He's our quarterback. We're supporting our guy. Screw you. And Ernest Jones, man, he had a fantastic season leading the team in tackles this year. What a great, like unbelievable leader for this Seahawks defense. Let's get to the sacking leader. And this one was difficult because there was a three-way tie for the sacking leader. There was Byron Murphy, there was Uchenna Nwosu, and there was Leonard Williams. I chose to pick Byron Murphy for this due to the fact that he had 17 games played, 22 solo tackles, 40 assisted, 7 tackles for loss for 62 total tackles, and 7 sacks this year. Byron Murphy, coming into his second year, was drafted in 2024. Comes in as the 18th overall pick out of Texas, and he's a DT. But the thing with a Mike Macdonald defense is you need a nose tackle. You need a guy that'll eat up blocks. You need a guy that'll come in and eat up blocks, make sure that the run stopping ability from a guy like Byron Murphy is there. And in his first year, he had a lackluster kind of rookie season. He wasn't that great on the stat sheet, but he was getting there. It was a rookie season. He comes into his second year, shaves his head, and he becomes the ultimate I'm going to eat you alive. That defensive front without a Byron Murphy anchoring it would have been completely different. He has shifted into the nose tackle role very, very well in his second year, and he's very much getting into his Texas Longhorns kind of college days where he is going to be a sacking machine. That's why he led the team in sacks this year, along with Uchenna Nwosu and Leonard Williams. But he just had a fantastic year, man. Watching the games, you can tell the massive steps that Byron Murphy took in this year to get his technique down, to make sure that he can make plays on opposing quarterbacks for years to come. There's a reason why he was picked that high in the draft, in the 2024 draft. John Schneider said it at a time, we got the best guy in this draft class. Actually, I think he was picked number 16 in 2024. So, he's just an amazing player. I love having him on my team, and he had a fantastic season. Let's get to the interception leader. It is Ernest Jones again. 15 games played, 5 interceptions. He had 150 yards on those interceptions. Had a 85-yard long for a pick 6. The man had a historic season. Like, this guy comes over, he goes to the Rams, has a terrific time there, goes to Tennessee, shows out there a little bit, then gets traded to Seattle and has been the stalwart green dot glue guy for this entire dark side defense. This guy is absolutely insane. So again, a great season from Ernest Jones. I think his tackling has been amazing, and leading the team in interceptions from your linebacker spot. Oh yeah, buddy. You had such a fantastic year this year, and you're one of the main reasons why this defense was so feared this season. Let's get to the actual stats now that we've done the top performers for both offense and defense. The record, 14-3 record, first in the NFC West, first in the NFC, and Super Bowl champions, your Seattle Seahawks. The offense ranked 8th total in the entire NFL offensive rankings. Points for 483, ranks them 3rd. Total yards was 8th in the league with 5,973. On third down, they were 16th in attempts with 82 conversions on 102 attempts, giving them a 40.6% conversion rate, on third down, 14th in the entire NFL. So third down was really iffy for them. I would say middle of the pack, that is middle of the pack, a little bit higher than middle of the pack by 1. But when you look at third down, and this is where downs get a little interesting, because if you don't watch the game and you just scoreboard watch, you're going to go like, oh, well, they had some times where they didn't really get many third downs, and that number looks a little low. Well, the thing with the Clint Kubiak style of offense was they didn't really get into third downs all that often. Usually they did a lot of their damage on second and first down most of the time. So that's why their numbers look a little skewed. But I think they did very well in this department. For the fourth down, it was even more scarce. Mike McDonald really didn't go for it on fourth down unless he really had to. He was 32nd in attempts, 7 for 12, had 58.3. That was 5th in the NFL. And again, that is a small sample size, because we know that Mike McDonald, from not only last year, but also this year in particular, he just doesn't go for it on fourth down usually, because he relies a lot more on his defense to bail them out of situations. And plus, he has arguably the best punter in the NFL in Michael Dixon. That guy is insane. So why not have him just pin the offense back and let the defense go feast on opposing offenses? That's why they didn't go for it on fourth down as much. He's not that much of an aggressive coach when it comes to fourth down, going for it on fourth down. not like the rest of the NFL has seemed to be over the last little bit. For the passing rankings, total yards, they ranked 5th, 4,048, had 10th in touchdowns with 25, third most with 15 in the passing rankings, 27 sacks allowed. That's the fourth fewest in the NFL. My God, does that make me happy to see that stat? When I was looking up the sack numbers and I was looking to see how it compared to the rest of the league, when I saw it was the fourth fewest in the NFL, I was like, oh my God, our offensive line actually like kept Sam Darnold alive. And the reason why I'm so excited about that is if you're not a Seahawks fan and you're watching this, Seahawks fans will agree with me on this. We have not had an offensive line in years that could stop a beach ball. We always were like one of the worst offensive line teams in the NFL. We bring in a guy from the Saints, the O-line coach. I believe his name is John Benton. He was on the New Orleans Saints for like 13 years. He has 13 years of experience in the NFL, and he comes in and he shores up that offensive line. You also got Gray Zabel in this year's draft. He's been amazing at left guard for his rookie season. He did absolutely bits. Like he was such a turning point because now you've got Charles Cross, you've got Gray Zabel, you've got Jalen Sundell, who has been a godsend there at center, really underrated player. And then you've got Anthony Bradford, of course, at right guard, and then you've got right tackle Abraham Lucas. That offensive line is starting to really come together, and seeing how well this team played in pass pro was amazing. You know, seeing these types of numbers, it was great to see on the field. For the rushing rankings, they were third in attempts in the entire NFL, 507 total attempts. Rushing yards per attempt was 23rd, 4.1. That was a little surprising to me, seeing 14.1 yards per carry per attempt. But if you're running 507 times in a season, your rushing yards per attempt will be a little bit low. But 10th in total yards rushing, 2,096 with 19 touchdowns. That's 8th in the league. Again, Clint Kubiak, his offensive style matched perfectly with what Mike Macdonald wanted to do. Last year, I will bring it up, Ryan Grubb got fired because Mike Macdonald and Ryan Grubb did not see the same vision for the offense and how they wanted to run it. Mike Macdonald wanted an OC that came in and delivered on the run first mentality type of play. And that's exactly what he got in Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak went, oh, I have two all-star running backs that can work really well in a tandem together. Okay, I'm going to go do that. He used Kenneth Walker on the outside. Most of his runs came from the outside to burst off and bite big chunks of yardage. And then he gave all the touchdowns to Zach Charbonnet, who led the team with 12 touchdowns and ran between the tackles and was a freight train in the red zone. And it worked out perfectly for this offense. There's a reason why the passing stats don't look amazing, but it's because of the rushing statistics down there for the rest of the team. Let's get to the defense. 6th in the entire NFL. Defensive ranking, points against, they were first, allowing the fewest with 292. Going from a defense that was ranked 14th last year and immediately going to almost a top 5 defense is absolutely insane. Yards allowed, they were first as well with 4,860. That's the fewest allowed in the NFL. It shows that defense wins championships. Mike Macdonald is a defensive guru. He is a guy that went, okay, first year in the league, got the jitters out. Second year in the league, I've got another year with most of the guys still from the previous team. We're going to go in, we're going to grab guys like DeMarcus Lawrence to help out the edge rotation and a couple other guys. And then we're going to build on our system with Aiden Dirt and myself, and we're just going to wreck shop. And it shows the vast amount of improvement that happened on downs. They were fourth in attempts, allowed 75 to the 234 attempted against them, had 32.1%. That's amazing. Fourth in the NFL. They were monsters on third down. You wanted to get them on third down. They got you into a third down situation. They caused so many 3-and-outs this year, man. Watching all these games, you saw offenses really struggle against this Seahawks offense for good reason. You had guys like Leonard Williams. You had so many great, amazing players. Nicky Memori comes in for his first year as a rookie and is basically the Kyle Hamilton clone that Mike McDonald loved when he was with the Ravens. He comes in and makes some huge impact, and he really stood up mostly on those third downs. He really had a good season, but the whole team on third down was just amazing. On the fourth downs, they were seventh in attempts allowed, 23 against 45 actual total, 51.1%, seventh in the NFL. When teams went for it on fourth down, they were 50-50 on if they were going to get it or not. And a lot of the time it was red zone stops. It was, putting other offenses in positions to where they needed to go for it on fourth down because they were trailing in games because they couldn't score. And it was amazing to see from this defense. For the pass coverage, they were 10th in yards allowed, 3,297 touchdowns allowed. They were 12th in the league with 20 interceptions. They were third in takeaways. The best scoring defense in the league. They had 18 interceptions. They were 11th in sacks with 49 sacks. That is a testament to the edge packages that they have, because you've got Boya Mafe, Derek Hall, and Uchenna Nwosu, DeMarcus Lawrence. And then you've got the defensive front, who are no slouches themselves, with a rotation of Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, Jaron Reed, Mike Morris even. Hell, Riley Mills, man, when he got in there, his first sack was in the Super Bowl this year, and he's a 6th-round pick. And it's just insane. So they had a great rotational edge rush threat all the time on the field. And that's why they got up there in sacks. That's why they were such a difficult defense to go up against. For the run defense, that was another story. 4th in attempts, 418 runs against them. Yards allowed, they were the fewest yards allowed, ranking them first in the NFL with 1,563 yards. And yards per attempt, they were third fewest in the NFL with 3.7. Teams tried to run it against them, but they couldn't get it in. They literally couldn't do anything on the ground. They were going to have to beat you were going to have to beat them through the air. And even then, that was a difficult task. Touchdowns allowed on the ground, they had the fewest, with only allowing 9 rushing touchdowns all season long. What a fantastic performance by this whole team. That's why they're Super Bowl champions. As we move in to the offseason, the 2026 cap situations, 2026 cap room and cap space is $72.28 million. The Seahawks, they have 18 players on expiring contracts this year. Some names include Reek Woolen, Kenneth Walker, Kobe Bryant, Boya Mafe, and Rashid Shaheed. Now, with $72.8 million in cap space, you are not going to be able to keep everybody on the team. There will be cap casualties this season for the Seahawks. And like I did last year, I kind of gave my thoughts on who I think the Seahawks should cut to make some more room. And one of the players that immediately jumped out to me was right guard Anthony Bradford, making $3.8 million for this year. If you cut him post June 1st, you save $3.6 million. My reason for cutting this player, this one's quite obvious to me. Throughout his career with Seattle, he's been a very up and down player throughout his career. Bradford can have some plays where he does very well. You know, he secures the edge. He makes sure with Abe Lucas, he makes sure that, Zach Charbonnet can run through the tackles. He makes sure that he can protect Sam Darnold. And then some games, I'm primarily thinking of the Vikings game where it was like a run play, kind of screen play ish, and Anthony Bradford was the swing guard, and he went to go swing and completely missed his block, and Kenneth Walker got smacked in the backfield. Those are the type of plays where you will go and he will make those types of plays and miss his block with it completely, and you'll go, what the hell are you doing at right guard starting here? How are you even keeping your job? And he made a lot of those. His highlights are very, very good, but his low lights are even worse. I think you should give second year man Christian Haynes that starting spot. Christian Haynes came out. He's a third round pick from Connecticut last year, or no, 2 years ago now, and in the Byron Murphy draft of 2024. And he's been playing a lot more at center. So I don't know if they want to keep him at center or anything like that, but I know he played guard in college at Connecticut, and he didn't really get much of a shot this year, to be honest. So maybe you want to go with the cheaper guy in Christian Haynes. He is a little bit younger than Anthony Bradford by a year, and he is a second year player. He'll get some more experience and more reps. Or you could also move Jalen Sundell out of the center position and put him at the right guard position. So originally, Sundell was brought in as a guard. He was in training camp and he didn't get drafted by the Seahawks. He came in as a UDFA and he got some practice reps in training camp this year before the season started at the guard position because he was a guard at North Dakota, same place where Gray Zabel was. They were actually roommates together. So when Jalen Sundell came in, they tried him at all different positions. They tried him at the guard positions. They tried him at the center position, and he beat out Olu Oduatimi, the original center, for his starting job. So he became the starting center. So you could move him to guard, essentially, and get rid of Anthony Bradford because you're saving 3.6 for this year. If you want to get some of these players signed, you need to look at some of the weakest links on your team and start cutting from there. But I think this could be a pretty obvious move that we might see for cap situations. Another really weird and kind of not obvious one to me, but kind of necessary one for me would be tight end Eric Saubert. He's making $2.24 million this year. If you cut him post June 1st, you are saving $1.99 million. Although he is a great blocking tight end, I could see the Seahawks cutting him to make a little bit more space for re-signing guys / free agency pickups. They could probably pick up another blocking tight end to fill the void in free agency, or they could just move fullback Brady Russell back to tight end 3. I was very confused at the beginning of this season because the roster construction was really weird. We had 2 fullbacks on the roster this year. Brady Russell had moved over from tight end because they had too many tight ends on the roster. They had Nick Kellerup, they had Eric Saubert, they had Elijah Arroyo, and they had AJ Barner. That's a lot of tight ends. You only need like 3. If they cut Eric Saubert, I think you can finally move Brady Russell back to tight end 3 because you have Robert Oots at fullback now. And he did very, very well at fullback in his first year with the Seahawks. With these 2 players cut, the Seahawks would have $77.87 million in cap space heading in to free agency or to sign guys like Kenneth Walker, Kobe Bryant, Boya Mafe and Rashid Shaheed. I will say this again. You're not keeping all of these guys. If I was John Schneider, and I know he's not going to watch this, but if I was GM of the Seahawks, I would focus on Kenneth Walker, Kobe Bryant, and Rashid Shaheed as your main guys to try and re-sign. I think Reek Woolen has already seen his writing on the wall. After getting benched at the beginning of the season for his poor performance, I don't think Mike Macdonald really sees him as a fit in his scheme of defense. And now with Reek Woolen coming up in a contract year, he's got his chip. He is still a very, very good corner. I am not dissing Reek Woolen. He has been lovely in his rookie season with the Seahawks, and he's been very good. He's been a very good coverage corner when he actually decides to cover. But I'm looking at teams around the league who need potential number one corners. Like I'm looking at the Bills, for example, and I'm thinking, dude, the Bills could go into free agency, throw a bunch of money at Reek Woolen, and have a number one cornerback for their foreseeable future. So again, Kenneth Walker, you definitely need. Sign him up. Kobe Bryant, you definitely need. Sign him up because Kenneth Walker, obvious reasons, you want to keep your tandem together. I don't care if you have to franchise tag Kenny Walker for $15 million. You know, as I was going through the cap situation, I use over the cap calculator for these types of segments, but it's like 15 million for a franchise tag for Kenneth Walker for 1 year. You try to sign Kobe Bryant, and then you definitely need to sign Rashid Shaheed. He wants to be here. You got him as a rental this year, but with how well he has done in the return game, he is one of the most dangerous returners in the league. You add an explosive speed threat down the field, like you need to keep that player, and that player wants to stay here in Seattle. Since he got here, his first press conference was, "I'm 27 years old and I want to stay here in Seattle. Seattle is my new home." So get it done with a contract extension for both Rashid Shaheed, Kenneth Walker, Kobe Bryant, and if you can, I would love to see Boya Mafe there. But again, you can't keep everybody on this team. Every time you get to a Super Bowl situation, there has to be difficult decisions made. For the final slide, where do we go from here? This year has been great for the Seahawks. Second year of Mike Macdonald's tenure here, making him a Super Bowl champion. I love this team to death, but this offseason is going to have a lot of question marks for it. With all the big contracts that this team needs to resign, I would expect some of these players from this year's Seahawks team to they will be leaving for free agency, which means John Schneider will have to make some difficult decisions considering his cap room situation. He'll need to make sure that he can fill those holes either in free agency or throughout the draft. But the Seahawks have really done a very good job over the last, I would say, 5 to 4 years of finding star talent to plug into this team. So I'm not worried about that. Now for the more blatant question. Who is going to replace new Raiders head coach Clint Kubiak for our OC position? First of all, I want to say, Clint Kubiak, I love you, man. You came in this season, and I was really apprehensive on going, okay, what is Clint Kubiak going to do for this team? I don't know this guy very well. How is his system going to fit? How is he going to bring in everything? How is he going to work this out? And he leads us to a Super Bowl. This offense was immaculate under him. He knew how to use the running backs, man, which is something that Ryan Grubb or Shane Waldron couldn't do in their last 2 years here. So I am so happy for Clint Kubiak going to the Raiders. Him all the best. But in terms of options to replace Clint Kubiak, it is reported from several reports. I think the one I saw was George Bell, who is a Seahawks beat writer for Seattle. And he said that Mike Macdonald is making a little bit of noise when it comes to knowing who his next OC is going to be. He wants to hire internally. So he wants to keep it in-house. And here are some of the names that may be promoted, or there's like a speculation that they might be top candidates here. It's pass game coordinator Jack Preetz. It's run game coordinator Justin Oten. And then you've got QB's coach Andrew Jen Okoko. Then you've got tight end coach Mac Brown. So we look at the QB's coach. He was brought in by Clint Kubiak from his time in New Orleans. He comes in, coaches Sam Darnold up even more, and he did a very good job. In terms of who they're going to sign, I have no idea. If you want to go with somebody and you want to keep the run game going, I would hire our run game coordinator in Justin Oten. I think he would be a good fit for this, but who knows? Seattle will also need to do at least one outside minority interview to satisfy the Rooney Rule as proposed by the NFL a couple of years ago. So they will need to bring in someone different from the organization. The final question that needs to be answered is, how long will Jody Allen be able to hold on to the Seahawks? She will need to sell the team eventually due to her brother's wishes of Paul Allen in his will in 2018 when he passed. The Seahawks would need to sell the team because they have a trust in this team. Like Jody Allen has a trust. She is the active chairman, but she will need to sell the team for his wishes in his will, and it will need to go to somebody else, and then that money will be donated to charity. So we are going to have a new owner eventually. There's no official timeline yet on when Jody Allen's going to sell the team. We just know that it's going to happen. I have no other comment for me at this time because, frankly, uh, I'm not I'm not even going to speculate on who would want the Seahawks. I'm not even going to speculate on that, but that's going to be a big a big shift in Seattle. That's going to be a big shift for this team, and I gotta say, like, Paul Allen passing away in 2018 really sucked. I love this team. You know, I've been a Seahawks fan since 2013 all the way up to now. So seeing him pass away in 2018 really actually did really suck for me because I like this group. I like this management group, and I like that Jody Allen took over as the active chairman for her brother, and now is going to sell the team, and those profits will actually go to charities, which I find is very nice. It won't go into our own pocket; it'll go to some charity. So that's very nice. But anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this longer video of the Seahawks 2025-2026 season review. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will have more content out for you guys as the season progresses. See you in the next video. Let's see what happens during this offseason.